Welcome from the
Started.
IIBA Tampa Bay, Florida chapter. This is our study group for November 9th, 2023. This is our 99th study group in this series. Today, we're going to talk about the techniques of business model canvas, benchmarking, and market analysis, and user stories. Our goal here at the IIBA Tampa Bay, our mission is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so that we may empower, instruct, and engage the BA community. We have a worldwide audience. Some people attend directly during the study group and others watch the recordings that we have. We've gone through the BABOK twice, and so we've got a lot of recordings out there. We've given you a lot of ways to reach us. Today is our 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time study group. We have our past meeting recordings that will be dropped into the chat. Also, we have an index of those past meeting recordings at rpchurchill.com. We have a variety of other ways to reach us. This is our Zoom online. That is our study group. And if you want to reach out to us on LinkedIn. Watermark Learning has given us a discount code of Tampa-21, which will give us 20% off of any of their products. They have not only business analysis, but other topics as well. We are a volunteer-led organization. Cliff Gray is our president. Yulia is our vice president of finance. Caitlin and Priscilla are board members at large. My name is Thea Soehren. I'm the vice president of career and professional development. It is my job to answer your questions about anything BA related. If you have requirements you want me to review, if you have user stories, if you have questions about how to handle a situation, or want a resume reviewed, send it to me. Communicate with me through LinkedIn. We are looking for new board members. We have 3 people that have expressed interest, and we are planning on bringing them on in the next several months. We would welcome a couple more. All we need from new board members is your willingness to participate, and attending a study group is kind of cool too. Our study group advisors are Yulia and Bob. They both have their CBAP certification, which means that you as an attendee get study group credit for this hour of participating. Thank you to both of you. Bob is here in residence today. We always like to celebrate the wins, and we have a list of people who have told us that them participating in our study group has helped them earn their IIBA certification, so we're really excited about that. The IIBA is currently 20 years old, and they have a 20% off exam promo through the end of this year. If you contact them, they will give you the rebate, and it's for exam fees for writing the exam, which means taking the exam, or the rewrite for the exam as well. Okay, let's get down to other business here. Nino has been a participant of our classes in the past, and he recently posted about the Philippines chapter. I did a presentation for them. But I think it's really cool that in this, let me clear this out. He had a screenshot of something that we present. He likes to see that he was mentioned in our study group halfway around the world. They are literally halfway around the world from us. So I thought that was pretty cool. I told you that Bob Churchill has created this index of all of our classes and all of our topics. It is here at rpchurchill.com, and these are the techniques that we are going through. We've already gone through cycle 1. We're working on cycle 2. And so tonight, the first one we're going to go through is this one. This is the business model canvas. The thing to know about a business model canvas in real life and according to the BABOK is this is just a high-level view of a company. And it gives you several specific elements of the company: partnerships, activities, resources, etc. I'll get into these a little bit more detail in just a minute. They're building blocks. They're arranged in a specific format. And I have some interesting things to show you about this format in just a minute. It's a diagnostic tool or a planning tool. And if you're researching a company, this is a great way for you to kind of get an overview of that company. It gives you the current state of business. especially in regards to with relationships between organizations. It allows for the mapping of programs, projects, and other initiatives, and it can be used to demonstrate where the effort of various department and work groups fit and align to the overall strategy of the enterprise. You've got your key partnerships, your key activities. Key activities can be value add, non-value add, or business non-value add. Key resources can be physical, financial, intellectual, and human. I'm going to give you real life examples of these in just a minute. The value proposition represents what a customer is willing to exchange for having their needs met. Customer relationships, classified as customer acquisition and customer retention. Organizations act with their customers in different ways depending upon these relationships. And then there's channels. Enterprises uses channels to raise awareness about their offerings, help customers evaluate their value proposition, allow customers to purchase a good or service, help the enterprise deliver the value proposition, and provide support. Understanding channels involves identifying the processes, procedures, technologies, inputs, and outputs. Some of these you can't do from outside the company, but it's a really good way to prepare for an interview and know what questions you want to ask. Then there's customer segments. You're going to have different needs for each segment, varying profitability between segments, different distribution channels, and formation and maintenance for customer relationships. You've got your cost structure, your revenue streams. Revenue streams can be license or subscription fees, transaction or usage fees, sales, lending, renting, or leasing. And then your usage considerations for using this. It's widely used in an effective framework that can be used to understand and optimize business models, and it's simple to use and easy to understand. Limitations: it does not account for alternative measures of value such as social or environmental impacts, which for some companies, not even a consideration, and for others, it's super important. The primary focus on value propositions does not provide a holistic insight for business strategy, but it just gives you a snapshot of current state. And it does not include strategic purpose of the enterprise within the campus. So let me show you a few things. I'm going to grab this and pull it down just a little bit so I can access it. Well, that's not what I was trying to do. Let's go back. Okay, that's not it either. Sorry, guys. I just lost what I was trying to show you. Let's do it from the bottom. Business model canvas. Next one. Okay, I'll do it this way. Oh, here it is. It put it over on the side. No wonder I can't find it. So Miro is a new product that I found that is for collaboration. Miro has 200 business model canvas templates that have been created from people all over the world that use it. And so it gives you different formats for business model canvas. So this isn't a thing that's not used. The guy that created business model canvas, his name is Alexander Osterwalder. Alexander Osterwalder was born in 1974, which makes most of us feel a little bit older than we did 5 minutes ago. He is obviously brilliant. He's a Swiss business theorist, and he came up with this. So if he can do this, so can we, guys. So one view of the business model canvas is, I think I've lost my place on the pages. Here it is. It's got 3 different elements: what delivers value, what creates value, and what captures value. And so here are the different elements that we kind of skimmed over earlier. If I can get it to show. So you got your key activities, your propositions, your relationships, your key partners, your cost structure, your key resources, channel, revenue stream, and segments. And they are all related by where they're located on the page. So let's look at the Amazon business model. Amazon is interesting because, is this big enough for you to be able to read it? Can everybody see this? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Key partners are logistics companies and third-party applications. Your key activities are logistics and platform development and maintenance. Key resources, technology, infrastructure, Amazon brand, and warehouses. Value proposition, low price, fast delivery, wide selection of products equals convenience. Marketplace with access to millions of buyers. Platform for as a service. Cost structures, warehouse, people, and data infrastructure. Customer relationships, automated and self-service and support. Channels, Amazon.com, mobile app, affiliates, AWS.com, and APIs. Customer segments, buyers, sellers, developers, and businesses. Revenue stream, one-time sales, subscription and Prime, commission or sales, and pay-per-use and support subscription. So this is like everything you would want to know is how do they make their money? So it really gives you a high-level overview of this organization. Now, I'm not going to read this for everything, but I found it for Uber and Netflix as well. But it's a really good way to orient someone who's new to your organization. This is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how we do it. It gives them a head start as to understanding your organization. The next thing I want to say is this is a specific to an organization from kind of a high level. If you want to go the next level down, which can be very, very down to the nth degree, I would suggest you look at a Zachman framework. Zachman framework is mentioned in the very front, behind the title page of the BABOK, and that's the only place in the BABOK that is really mentioned. But this goes much more deeply into what is the organization, and you got your different levels, and you got your why, how, what, who, where. Down here, as you get at the very top, you have very few things. As you get down here further, for instance, process details, you're going to have many, many processes documented here that you would probably link to. But this is everything about the company. And if you want to do things like SOX compliance, documenting your processes, this is a great way to structure your list of everything for the organization. Does anyone have any questions on Business Model Canvas or Zachman Framework? Okay. Next, go ahead.
I couldn't unmute fast enough. So it seems, just in conclusion, it seems like the business model framework works when you're really looking at the entire enterprise and when you're looking at it from how that enterprise generates value. And the Zachman seems like it, like you said, where you're drilling down into the details. It does the Zachman framework or the business model framework, would it also apply at a smaller scope level within the organization? For instance, I'm in an ITS department, and ITS is generally a cost to our UW Medicine organization. UW Medicine makes its money by helping people in terms of medical services. But ITS, or IT Shared Services Group, we're not really a cost center. We're an expense, but we do add value. So I wonder if anyone's seen that the business model canvas applied to, say, a department as opposed to the whole organization, or if there's anything that speaks to it's really better applied to the whole organization.
I think it could easily be applied to a specific department, especially if you're talking about who you're affiliated with, who you serve, who serves you, what models you use for making money or providing services. I think that would be an excellent way to demonstrate what that department does.
So if we are like reducing costs, that might be a way of adding value. Even though we're not bringing in money, we're reducing costs, for instance.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. Thanks.
You could certainly be one of the boxes in that diagram for the larger organization. So you can think about many of these tools on many levels, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
And
Honestly,
it's also true that this has a lot of overlap with benchmarking and market analysis, which I will discuss next. And also one of the other ones down at the bottom that we still haven't covered.
Jim, if you wanted to, you could probably take the technique that we just discussed down to an individual contributor level, if you wanted to get really specific.
Vendor assessment.
Mhm.
Also, the Zachman framework, if you remember the gentleman that talked to us about enterprise architecture, he also had that 3-level thing that I talk about all the time. It's dedicated to a particular software product, but it's the business level, the abstract/application level, and the technology level down at the bottom. There are ways of looking at large organizations from a higher level point of view, and there are multiple ways of doing it. As I always say, there were a lot of these techniques until I encountered the BABOK. I never heard of them. But somebody uses them and finds them useful.
So, Jim, if you do use the business model canvas at a department level or your own organization within your company level, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see how you structure it.
I may take you up on that. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Or if you just want to bounce it off me, I love the ideas. Okay, next we're going to switch over to benchmarking and market analysis, and Bob is going to present that. And I don't see the individual that was going to be presenting user stories, so we might not have that.
Yeah, we'll figure out something else to do.
Okay.
If we have time left over, which I'm sure we will. So, like we talked about just now with Thea's thing, that's a way of looking at entire organizations, benchmarking and market analysis. You might use a business model canvas in one or both of those activities, but it's essentially something a little different, right? So benchmarking is about activities and characteristics across industries, organizations, products, methodologies, and technologies to find out the best way to do things, find out the best features, and so on. It's basically seeing what everybody else is doing so you can figure out what products and services to offer. So the BABOK lists a handful of things that are in the bullet points. That's what to study, who does it the best right now, figuring out what other people are doing so you know what all the existing options are. You can always identify more opportunities by filling in the holes or going further. You can request information to learn about other capabilities. They can guide research. You can learn things during plant or site visits, and you can do a gap analysis against market leaders. And really, this list is saying the same thing over and over in different ways. And you also can use this work or this analysis to figure out how you're going to do things better. So here are some examples of benchmarking, and I'm sure you all can think of zillions of these. Here are just a few I encountered. If you think about these examples, it may trigger something in your own mind to think of examples you have encountered. So when the Ford Taurus came out in 1986, back when Ford was still relevant for sedans, and it actually won the Motor Trend Car of the Year a couple times in its first year, and when the SHO came out. And what the engineers did when they first put that car together was identify like 100 different aspects of a car and figure out what they could do to compete in all those areas. And they obviously did a good job because the car had a pretty good bang for the buck ratio, and they came up with some fairly interesting things. One of the main things I remember was on the back deck behind the rear seat under the rear windscreen, right, the rear window, there was actually this space that usually nothing's there. But in the model I had, they had a compartment there with this lid that came up and kind of snapped out. And that was a really good use of space that for a few bucks on every car, you could do something really interesting. So it showed the level of detail that you could go into to think about adding value or differentiating yourself versus your competitor. And obviously they did that in many other ways on those cars. When a company I worked for doing simulation was developing building evacuation models, I did a huge internet/literature search to look at all the other people that had shared information about what they had done. And there were people that talked about building evacuations, moving large numbers of entities kind of autonomously, doing egress from ships and different kinds of emergencies using physical ship passages mounted on crazy gimbals to simulate different kinds of movements. And I read all those up, and I wrote up all my findings and used those to identify all the parameters used to describe the spaces people would be evacuating out of and the threats they might encounter in those spaces, and also the characteristics of the different entities and behaviors of people that would be trying to get out of buildings. And we use those for other activities as well, beyond just evacuations. And I also design user interfaces that allowed people to set all the settings for all those. And that was a product that was ultimately built. Another engineering company I worked for in the paper industry used to share information by putting articles in magazines and publications and technical papers together and circulating them around to everybody in our department and our company. At least many of the people in our company that thought at kind of a high level. And the idea was to let people know what was going on in the industry, so they had a larger pool of ideas to draw upon. And governments and other large organizations will sometimes put out RFIs and so on to find out capabilities of potential vendors and suppliers and consultants, so they know what capabilities they may be able to call upon to solve certain problems. So those are always doing benchmarking. It is essentially comparing your things to things that are already out there. Market analysis, by contrast, is finding out what people need, who the customers are, what opportunities there are out there, who the competition is, who else is trying to provide similar goods and services to you, figuring out what direction things are going in, defining and identifying and developing and improving strategies, gathering raw market data, reviewing existing information, and using all that data to reach conclusions and support decisions. So there are a bunch of ways that market analysis can be done. There are a lot of consulting companies in various spaces publish market share information. When I studied for my Lean Six Sigma certification, one of the things I learned about is the Canoe model, and that basically talks about customer satisfaction versus degree of achievement. And basically, if you it breaks things down into three classes. And they were dissatisfiers, satisfiers, and delators. So dissatisfiers were a thing that, hey, that's bad. I am not happy with your product or service. And most things are satisfiers. Yeah, I need this, that, or the other thing, and I'm mostly happy, right? And then there were delators, which go above and beyond. Now, as you know, people have this kind of upwardly ratcheting hedonic adjustment, which means when something gets better for you, you kind of get used to it. So if you think about a hotel room, usually you don't care about the extra stuff in it. Rarely do you walk into a room and think, wow, this is so much better than I expected, right? Usually you just are happy that everything's right, and usually a hotel room, only something can be wrong. And we know that rooms are much better now than they were 40 or 50 years ago. So we've kind of gotten used to the new way things are. Now every room has an ironing board. Most of them have a refrigerator. They usually have blow dryers and so on. So those aren't extras now. We've kind of gotten used to them. So that's one area of market research or one way to think about stuff. Most of the companies I worked for usually did custom jobs. We would figure out what that company needed, and even if we had a fairly consistent and well-defined product or a solution, we always had to adapt it to their particular situation. And now, we also recognized, or I did, that, there's only so much money you can make doing business that way. The way you really make buku bucks is build one, sell many. So make a standard product and sell a zillion of them, like Microsoft's products, right? Or simple widgets. So we tried to do that, and it was a poorly chosen product. We sold one copy. I'm sure it cost the company a ton of money, but that happens, right? One thing we did for an HVAC controls company I worked for was have a bunch of people come in and tell us what they needed. These were customers that didn't hate us. They met us in Cleveland, and being from Pittsburgh, who wants to go to Cleveland? But that's another story. So that's a way of doing research. I know that Costco identifies markets where they want to build stores based on a certain level of storage space in people's homes and average income of the area. The figures I quoted may be a little bit out of date, but they build stores in areas that are rapidly growing, that already have a certain amount of wealth and so on. And if you look at other chains like Starbucks and CVS and Walgreens, they definitely have their models of what they're looking for to support new operations and products and so on. There are a couple of others having to do with sports teams looking for new players, or college students looking for where to go to school, and also colleges trying to appeal to those students based on different things they may offer. So those are all things we might look at for market research and or market analysis, specifically to use the same words as the BABOK. Any questions?
I think where I get tripped up sometimes on the practice exam questions is when it will mention market analysis is used versus other techniques. And I don't know if it's the way the questions are written. Bob, have you found that sometimes that's kind of tricky, as to know when to choose market analysis versus when to use another technique? I'm being rather general there, but I've seen sometimes in the exam questions where they refer to it.
All right, let's think about other techniques that may be confused with this. So balanced scorecard that Thea talked about tonight, that is more of a evaluation of the capabilities and channels of a whole organization, right? And business capability analysis, I don't even remember what that is. So
That's
let's look.
actually, I'm keyed up to present balanced scorecard next.
All right, Bill, I will let you talk about that. Let's see.
I talked about business model canvas earlier.
Vendor assessment is something we'll talk about next week. That is a more specific example of what vendors can provide. How likely are they to be solid and stay around and be able to provide ongoing support and so on? And I think market analysis is its own fairly well-defined thing. You're trying to figure out what's going on in the market and figure out what other people are doing and also what opportunities exist for you. So there's a lot of demographic information involved. And like I said, here are like 8 things they list to look for. And that's all in the BABOK.
I think the two most important things about benchmarking and market analysis are they are time and energy intensive, but you can never exceed a company by learning about the company. You can't try to emulate somebody and exceed them at the same time. You can learn about them and learn what not to do, or learn what they do and make your own plan, but you're not going to exceed them.
Yeah, you have to figure out where the holes are and what you can do different and better. Now, there's also room to do the same thing that'll get you to be as good as them. But if they got there first, if they have first mover advantage, you basically have to be better in some way. So you have to do the same thing cheaper or something better for the same price at the very least.
And if they've been doing it for 6 months or a year, they've got a leg up to start with.
That's the first mover advantage.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You know, that's where I think like an Ace Hardware versus Home Depot and Lowe's comes into play as an example. You find stuff at Ace Hardware that you're not going to find at those other places. Stainless steel bolts, you know,
Right.
just the little nicks and knacks that you can't get at the big box stores. And that's how they've kind of stayed relevant, even though price, you know, they can't compete on price.
Yeah.
But, you know, you always wonder how those little hardware stores stick around. And that's kind of like one example of what you're talking about there.
Right.
Yeah, ability to address similar markets differently. There's a lot of ways to go in that space.
And one other thing is, if you are company B and you're studying company A and you say, we need to change this process to match company A's, they're better at it than we are. You've also got to consider your change effort, your production slowdown because you're undergoing change instead of continuing production. You've got to address that. You've got to educate people. That's going to take training. You've got people that they will no longer be the right person for that role because you've got different responsibilities and you're going to switch people around. That means that you're going to have to potentially change teams, which means team dynamic is going to change. Change is probably not the easiest thing to think about. And people at the top don't always see that, but people in the middle and the bottom, we really see it. Okay, do we have any questions about benchmarking and market analysis? Okay, I'm going to take the screen again. Share screen. I gotta ask you to stop sharing, please, Bob.
I did.
Well, let's try it again then. Okay, here we go now. Thank you. Okay, we're going to talk about balanced scorecard because it's the next most logical thing to talk about with what we've already started with. So the purpose, the balanced scorecard is used to manage performance of any business model, organization structure, or business process. The short answer is balanced scorecard is a way to say we had these goals, this is how we're going to reach them, and did we reach them? So it's a performance measurement tool. Let's see, it's used to measure organizational performance beyond the traditional financial measures. It's outcome focused and provides a balanced view of an enterprise by implementing the strategic plan, an active framework of objectives and performance measures. The underlying premise of the balanced scorecard is that the drivers of value creation are understood, measured, and optimized in order to create sustainable performance. So it's got 4 dimensions: learning and growth, business process, customer, and financial. So this is what it looks like. Can I move this? I can, look at that. So you've got your vision and strategy. I'm going to say, if you don't have a vision and strategy, don't start this. That needs to be what you start with. In fact, for our chapter, we have to create our vision and strategy for next year before we figure out what it is we want to accomplish, because we don't want to just do stuff. We want to have a reason. We want to know we're reaching our vision and strategy, and we do have our mission. So from this, you got your financial, which is objectives, measures, targets, and initiatives. And each one of these have the same thing. So you got your financial. How should we appear to our stakeholders? That's the question it's trying to answer. Customer, to achieve our vision, how should we appear to our customers? Learning and growth, to achieve our vision, how will we sustain our ability to change and improve? And then the internal business process, to satisfy our shareholders and customers, what business processes must we excel at? And I've got examples on another slide in just a second. So measures regarding employee training, learning, product, service, innovation, corporate culture. These are suggestions. Not everybody's going to have the same things. You have to figure out what's applicable and measurable and realistic for your organizations. You need to figure out what the metrics are that you're going to use. And it could be training funds, mentoring, knowledge sharing, technology improvements. Then business process dimension, indicate how well the enterprise is operating and if their products meet the customer needs. Customer dimension, customer focused satisfaction and delivery of value, capture how well the customer needs are met, how satisfied they are with the products and services, and whether the delivery of those products and services meet their quality expectations and their overall experience with the enterprise. Then you've got a financial dimension, what identifies what is financially necessary to realize this strategy. And examples indicate profitability, revenue growth, and added economic value. Some of these can be done at a department level, Jim. I'm not sure everything can be. And then you've got 2 basic types of measures for measures or indicators. You got the lagging indicators that provide results of actions already taken, and leading indicators provide information about future performances, and then it can roll over for the next year. And then objectives tend to have lagging indicators, but using related leading indicators can provide more real-time performance information and planning. So quantitative, linked to strategy, easily understood by all stakeholders. That means it needs to be marketed and publicized so that everyone has understanding of it. So you're all rowing the boat in the same direction. When defining measures, business analysts consider whether relevant measures that are in place and ensure that any new or changed measures do not adversely impact any existing role. So let's talk about this for a second. Let's say that you've got this in place, your organization has agreed to it, and you change your process. You as a business analyst are responsible for saying, wait, we've made a change. That means we need to reevaluate this measurement that we're going to be working toward. Allows the organization to establish monitoring and measuring of progress against objectives to adopt strategy as needed. Let me move on to strengths. It facilitates holistic and balanced planning and thinking. Short, medium, and long-term goals can be harmonized into programs with incremental success measures. This means that you get to be a cheerleader and celebrate the wins as you go through the year, not just say, we got to the end of the year, I don't really remember what happened, but we didn't meet our goals. It's like, no, for our first quarter, we know exactly what we're supposed to be achieving. So you can do it that way. Encourages forward thinking and competitiveness. Strategic, tactical, and operational teams are more aligned, easily aligned to their work. Limitations. A lack of clear strategy makes aligning in dimensions difficult. That's one reason we, as business analysts and all of the leadership of the organization, need to be sure that you've got clear strategies. Can be seen as a single tool for strategic planning rather than just one tool that can be used in the suite of strategic planning tools. This isn't the only one, but it's a really good one to put out in front of everybody, and can be misinterpreted as a replacement for strategic planning, execution, and measurement. So for some levels, this is perfect. It's not the thing that everyone needs to use. So I found this really cool site. Characteristics. I'm going to show you this right down here. Well, sorry, I've lost my place on this thing. Let's go to the next one. So 3 balanced scorecard examples. Let me move this off to the side. This is a strategic map for a craft brewery. So you got your financial perspective. Their objective is increase revenue, but here it is. They need the number. If you don't have the number, you can't know if you met it or not. Increase net revenue, so it identifies which kind of revenue by 10%. The indicators are the financial statements, and the initiatives develop new credit policies for distributors. So this would probably be the project we're actually working on as a BA, but we know what our goal is because it's very clear and everybody knows what our goal is, so it gives us accountability. Customer perspective, increase the value of each purchase by 15% on average. The way we're going to do that is through the value of invoices for each individual sale. We're going to improve the product mix and create combo deals. So these are our projects we're working on. This is how it's going to roll up to the organization. And then we can identify with the balanced scorecard if we achieved our goals. Let's move on to a jewelry store. Increase profitability for the company by 15%. Negotiate installment partnerships with credit card companies. The learning and growth perspective, replace 30% of the salespeople. I don't know why that is the thing that they want to do, but that's what they want to do. So start the process of recruitment and selection. Number of new contracts versus staff terminations is their indicators. Internal process perspective, increase the number of compliments in the customer service by 15% and reduce complaints by 80%. Statistical analysis of customer service reports is their measurement, and they want to redesign the customer service process. I would love to be on this team. And then one more to show you.
I'm not sure how realistic that stuff is, but okay.
I'm not saying this is real world. I'm just saying it's examples. Let's say customer perspective for an e-commerce business. To be a reference for a variety of products is their objective. The goal is to increase launching new products every quarter by 15%. Indicators, number of new products launched per quarter, and the initiative create an innovation and development committee. So their job, they know what their goal is to increase the launch of new products every quarter by 15%. And here's their objective: to be a reference for a variety of products. So does everyone understand what a balanced scorecard is designed for? Has anyone ever used a scorecard?
Like many of these techniques, it's an organized way of making you look at a problem from a different perspective. That's all it is. And one is as valid as another. There are 50 of these things in the BABOK. There are many more. And knowing about all of them is good, because you may never see this particular thing in your career. But if you're aware of it, it may be the exact thing you want to for your problem. So the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more likely it is that one of them is going to be just the thing you need for that situation.
One thing I do appreciate about Balanced Scorecard is it doesn't look at it from just one of these perspectives. You know, a company says, we want to improve our bottom line by 15%. That's great, but there's more to improving your bottom line by just the financial perspective. So this one has the financial, customer, internal process, and learning and growth. You might choose some other perspectives to be considerate of that would be more applicable and impactful to your organization. I can't imagine financial would not be one of the lists, but some of the others might not be on your list, and you might replace it with something else. But the overall goal is to be sure that you do consider the important elements for your organization to be able to reach your ultimate goal. Okay, that's all I have for this week. What else do we have? We have covered 3 of the remaining techniques. We have 2 more to go. One is user stories. And Bob, what is the other one?
Let me figure that out.
And we had somebody that was going to do user stories, right? And,
Sheesh.
We have someone.
sorry.
Yeah. And they were going to be here this week, and they're not here. So I'm hoping they'll be here next week.
And if they're not,
Okay.
could take a swag at user stories.
I'll do it.
Time.
Or Jim, I'd love it if you didn't.
Yeah. So Jim, would you be interested in doing it? We will just assign it to you. Data modeling.
The user stories, be happy to do that.
Okay, we will ask you to do user stories next week. I don't mind doing data modeling, Bob, if you want me to.
No, data modeling, sure, go for it.
Okay, so we will get user stories and data modeling done. And guys, that will be our 100th study group, which I'm personally kind of proud about. And we will have completed all of the techniques for the 2nd round. So that means we have at least 2 recordings of what is this technique per this person, always referring back to the BABOK, that the BABOK is what we're needing you to learn to be able to pass the test. Once again, if you have one of the certifications that you're interested in taking the test for during December, you can get 20% off. November or December of this year, you can get 20% off of your fee. So if there's one of those that, you know, maybe the Agile or data analysis or something like that, you can get that knocked out. But I did have somebody say that those other certifications are based upon having passed the CBAP. I'm not 100% sure of that, so you might check that out if you're interested.
By the way, Jim and Vivian, I know you guys have been with us for a long time, and I know December is very busy for all of us, but I'm so looking forward the hearing before too awfully long that you guys have passed your exams. I know you will kill it. You guys are both totally brilliant from the interactions I've heard from you and had with you, and I think you should not be afraid of the exam.
Absolutely. I have a lot of confidence in you both. We are taking off the week of Thanksgiving on through the end of the year. We're going to begin again the first Thursday in January. Our current plans are to have a speaker series. We're going to start with our good president talking about what is his responsibilities whenever he moves data from one application or one system to another. It's something that we kind of know what he does, but there's things we need to understand a little bit better, especially if we're going to work with somebody that has his responsibilities. We need to know what he needs from the BA, what specific requirements he needs to get his job done well, and we also need to know what we need from him to be able, what limitations and abilities his applications or systems tools use, so that we can represent that well to the business. After that, we're going to have a couple of other speakers come on. If you have someone, or if you are someone who are interested in talking about something specific that we as BAs need to learn, or a position, a responsibility, for instance, AI, data analysis, things that are kind of up and coming in the BA world, we'd love to hear from you. And we'd like to schedule it. We can set it up as you do in presentation. We can set it up as us asking you questions. You know, we're pretty good at asking questions. And then we can just have that so people can learn from us all over the world for the next several years as they watch the recording. This is, as you know, not a high pressure situation. What we want to do is we want to record and present things that help the BA community grow and learn. So if you have suggestions, send them to me on LinkedIn. As you know, the name that's showing there is not the name I have on LinkedIn anymore. My name is Thea Soehren. I got married in January. It's been 10 whole months, guys. Almost 11. I'm getting excited.
Is he still alive now?
He's still alive. I still wear the ring. I mean, we be sure that they match periodically. Yeah, we still do that. We're so excited to still be married thing. Anyway, we want to make 2024 a great year for business analysis, and we want to provide the information that you need to make yourself a better business analyst. So bring us your suggestions. We will have a couple of new board members next year, and we're looking forward to getting their input as to what they feel like we need. We're working with some other chapters to bring in information from them and to provide you information as to when they're providing webinars and workshops and such. So we're going to have a bigger offering of things that you can participate in, not only just Thursday nights, but during other days and nights, if it works with your schedule. And some of them have recordings, some of them don't. But we're going to do the best we can to be the most value to you as a business analyst. And if you have any other things that you're working on, I'm happy to work with you on those. Those of you who are interested in being product owners, data analysts, Power BI developers, all kinds of things. There's a lot of tangents you can go from being a business analyst, but you need to have some foundation to start with, and we're going to do everything we can to give you what you need. Does anyone have any questions or comments before we close for the night?
You know, I was going to say something and I totally forgot.
Did I just talk too long?
No.
Okay.
That squirrel just went away. I don't know what happened.
Not a problem. Okay. We will get together one more time this year, next Thursday, and we'll see what we can get done about the last two techniques. If y'all have anything, again, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to do what I can to help. And I'm still interviewing for jobs if you know of any jobs, so I'll take that help too. I will talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a very good week and stay safe. Bye.
Night.
Night.